This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of Batman: The Long Halloween. I am so glad I am able to review this movie. I was able to get it at an earlier point than I thought I would, and I'm very excited to be going over it. The Batman movie I watched, it was so good, and as an adaptation of one of Batman's most famous storylines, where he goes against Holiday, who is a serial killer who kills different members of the Falcone crime family on different holidays. There will be spoilers. And yes, I am saying Falcone, although I do know it is typically pronounced Falcone. I like using the Falcone pronunciation more since I really grew up watching Gotham, and that is where I saw the character most predominantly, and the pronunciation that I prefer. And I know it's going to anger some people, but I don't really care. It's my channel. I could pronounce it however I want, and I'll be going with Falcone for this. Starting off, this movie really was a great movie, and I'm not going to judge it fully in quality until I see part 2, but so far I've been very impressed and think a very good job has been done with it. I think it has interpreted the story very well so far, although I have not read the story in a little bit. I still think that it was done very well, and while watching it, I did have a really fun time. I thought it was a very enjoyable movie, and the one thing that kind of both surprised and confused me a little was when Catwoman figured out Batman's identity as Selina Kyle right at the end of the movie. And although it did feel a little weird and didn't really get talked about at all, I can't remember if that was in the comic or not, because I remember at least most probably the time that Catwoman figured out who Batman was in Batman Hush, and that takes place after the Long Halloween, and I'm pretty sure that the Long Halloween is still canon within DC, especially when Hush was published, since that was before anything crazy besides Crisis and Infinite Earths, which already happened when The Long Halloween was published. I think it was a good amount of time. Crisis was, I think, mid-70s, maybe early 80s, and Long Halloween, I believe, was early to mid-80s to maybe the late 80s, early 90s. I don't remember exactly. Maybe in the early 2000s, I'm not fully sure, but I know it happened before Hush and after Crisis, so I know no universe-changing events like Flashpoint or Dr. Manhattan playing with the timeline has happened yet from a creative perspective, especially at that point. So I'm guessing that this might be a unique interpretation for The Long Halloween and for this universe, although I'm not sure where they're going to go with this Catwoman story since the actress has passed away. but it could still be interesting, and I want to see where it's going. Now, looking really at everything else, as I say, I was really impressed. I really liked how Harvey Dent and Jim Gordon and Batman worked together, and I really like how Batman is the one who gave Harvey Dent the coin. I also, although I definitely saw where it was going with the burning the cash, was still a great scene, and even better to learn that Batman gave Dent the double coin he will be soon be using as Two-Face, and yeah, that's not a spoiler. Everyone knows Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face, and anyone who knows anything about this story knows that this leads to Two-Face's origins. That's a pretty common fact about the Long Halloween, and of course has been teased in trailers and in the specific commentary about the sneak peek at the next movie. It says very specifically in there, Two-Face is coming, and of course that's a part of the story. Although I will not spoil who was revealed as Holiday in the comics, but I just hope they don't do a Batman Hush with this. When with Hush, I think it was a pretty solid movie up until they changed who Hush was, and that was a bad ending that kind of ruined a really good movie up to that point. And now Hush, which could have been a film that ranked up there with Under the Red Hood and Dark Knight Returns, falls down a bunch. But this one, so far, has been very good, has been very intriguing, has built up a great mystery, and although it has gone over only a few holidays, including the murders of Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, and, minor spoiler for the next film, we'll be going up to the next Halloween with one murder at least per month. We still have a long way to go since we've only covered 4 holidays, and I believe the next one will include the murders on Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter. I'm not really sure what it was in May. Maybe Memorial Day or something. And then I don't remember what June was either. July was 4th of July, I believe. Don't remember what it was for August. Probably Labor Day for September. And then Halloween again in October. So in the next one, expect lots of parts to be very quick, especially those months where I couldn't name a month. It's holiday off the top of my head. So I would expect Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, 4th of July, and definitely the final Halloween to be big ones. But the other ones may be a little smaller and only quick scenes. But an interesting fact I believe about the comic series was it released and came out on each of the days it was set on. So it would be kind of cool to get this as a TV series that came out once a month over the period of a year. But this is still fine, and I did like it. And one last part I wanted to go over. I nearly forgot to do this, but I love that Batman is very inexperienced, and this is set early in his career, He believes that everything was going to be a lot simpler. He doesn't have to do his detective work, even though he is still famous as being the world's greatest detective from comments that other people have made. And that is probably one of the most interesting twists on this, that Batman definitely needs to learn how to do his job in a better way. And it's not just simply fighting people, but he has to figure things out and how to do everything, especially with there being a killer. And although this isn't super important to the plot, I love the scene where Alfred pulled a Batman on Batman back in the beginning, and he's like, basically, I hate it when he does that, but it seems that, at least in this universe, and I don't remember if it was in the comics or not, that this is how Batman learned how to pull a Batman. He learned it from Alfred, and that was just a really fun Easter egg and detail I saw in this. Overall, I've loved this movie so far. I cannot wait for part 2, which I believe comes out either July, the week of like the 20th, or a few weeks later in August. And uniquely, this one had a simultaneous release on Blu-ray and digital. Digital usually comes out about 2 to 3 weeks before, and then the Blu-ray comes out. I was kind of surprised by this. I'm not sure if they're doing the same thing for part 2, but I am very excited for that and cannot wait to see it. Oh, that's one of the parts of this movie. The Joker and Batman interactions were very good, and while this wasn't their focused movie, I definitely like how he is set up to have had some history, and although the Falcones are still in power, it definitely is pretty crazy to see how this has all changed, and how the Falcones and other families like the Maronis will lose all their power in Gotham and will be killed off as the new super criminals come to power. And I'm very excited to see where this continues. I do hope it stays faithful to the original story, but that we'll come to see. But so far, as long as part 2 is amazing, I think this may be my second favorite DC animated movie, with the two of them combined, with the one above it being The Dark Knight Returns. And I'd like to confirm that I have now fully planned out what I'm doing for the next week of content. Starting up on next Tuesday, I'll be reviewing The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, and then on Wednesday I'll of course be reviewing both Loki episode 4 and the week of the Arrowverse, my Arrowverse review. And then that Thursday I'll be reviewing The Godfather Parts 1 and 2. On Friday I'll be reviewing the Lego Darth Vader's Castle, and then episode 10 of The Bad Batch after that. And those are my plans for the next week and a half, and I will see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please like the video, leave some comments, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends, and may the Force be with you.